In a quiet village in Nigeria called Umuaka lived a man named Chike. Life had been unkind to Chike and his wife Nnenna. Once, Chike's family had been prosperous. His father had owned vast, fertile lands, enough to secure a comfortable life for generations. But when Chike's father passed away, tragedy struck. His wealthy uncle, Chief Okafor, claimed the lands for himself, leaving Chike with nothing but a barren, rocky patch of soil. Chike and Nnenna worked tirelessly on this land, but it barely yielded enough to feed their family. They lived in a crumbling mud hut, and their children, Kelechi and Uda, grew up knowing only hunger and struggle. Some years ago, their son Kelechi fell gravely ill. The boy's frail body burned with fever, his small frame trembling under the weight of the sickness. "Nnenna," Chike said one evening as he knelt beside his son, his voice trembling, "what can we do? The boy won't make it through the night like this." "We need medicine," Nnenna replied, her voice breaking. "Go to your uncle, Chike. Beg him. If not for us, then for Kelechi." Chike hesitated. He knew his uncle's heart was as hard as iron, but desperation drove him to try. The next morning, he made the long walk to Chief Okafor's sprawling compound. Okafor sat in his grand courtyard, surrounded by servants and a feast fit for a king. When Chike arrived, he bowed his head low and spoke. "Uncle, I've come to beg for your help." Okafor raised an eyebrow. "Help? From me? What could you possibly want, Chike?" "My son Kelechi is gravely ill. He needs medicine, but I have no money. Please, uncle, lend me something, anything. I swear I will repay you." Okafor smirked and leaned back in his chair. "Repay me? With what? That worthless patch of land you call a farm? Do you think money grows on trees, Chike?" Chike's voice trembled. "Please, uncle, I'll do anything. He's just a child." Okafor's tone grew defensive. "Do you think I'm swimming in money? Do you know how much it costs to feed my servants and maintain this compound? Last week, I had to repair the roof of my storeroom, and just yesterday, I bought new silk wrappers for Adaobi. Times are hard for everyone, Chike. I simply don't have anything to spare." "Uncle," Chike pleaded, his voice breaking, "I'm not asking for much. Just enough to buy the medicine he needs." Okafor sneered. "You think your problems are more important than mine? I worked hard for my money, Chike. I earned every kobo through wisdom and effort. Why should I hand it to a lazy man who has nothing to show for himself?" Chike's shoulders sagged as he realized his uncle's heart was as closed as his fists. "Go home, Chike," Okafor said coldly, "and don't bother me with your sob stories again." Chike returned home empty-handed. That night, Kelechi died in his mother's arms. Nnenna wept bitterly as Chike stood in silence, the weight of his failure pressing down on him. Months passed, and life continued its grueling rhythm. One evening, as Chike and Nnenna walked home from their farm, they saw an old man sitting by the roadside. His frail body trembled, and his sunken eyes spoke of hunger and exhaustion. "Chike," Nnenna said, "look at him. He's starving." "We barely have enough for ourselves," Chike replied. "But if we leave him here, he will die," Nnenna insisted. "We cannot turn our backs on him." Moved by her words, Chike helped the old man to his feet. "Come with us, Papa. We will take care of you," he said. Over the next week, Chike and Nnenna cared for the old man. Despite their poverty, they shared their meager food and gave him their only mat to sleep on. Nnenna brewed herbal teas to strengthen him, while Chike hunted small game to supplement their meals. On the morning of the 7th day, the old man sat up, looking much healthier. His eyes, now clear and sharp, observed Chike and Nnenna closely as they sat outside their small hut. "Thank you," the old man said, his voice strong. "You have saved my life. Many would have left me to die by the roadside. Why did you help me?" Chike and Nnenna exchanged a glance. Nnenna spoke first. "We've known suffering, Papa. We couldn't ignore someone else in need." Chike nodded. "Even when we have little, kindness is something we can still give." The old man smiled, a twinkle of approval in his eyes. Wise words. The gods have blessed me to meet such people. But tell me, what can I give you in return? What do you desire?" Nnenna shook her head. "Papa, we didn't help you because we wanted anything. We did it from our hearts." "Yes," Chike added, "we do not expect anything in return for doing what is right." The old man studied them, his gaze thoughtful. "You are rare souls, but even the kindest hearts deserve blessings. I insist you accept a gift from me." Chike hesitated. "Papa, we truly do not need anything." The old man reached into his pouch and pulled out a small seed. It shimmered faintly, as if infused with light. "Take this seed," he said. "Plant it in your garden. Care for it well, and it will bring you blessings beyond your imagination." Chike frowned. "Papa, we don't know much about plants like this. What if we ruin it?" "You won't," the old man said firmly. "But there are 2 rules you must follow. First, you must plant this seed where it will receive enough sunlight. Second, water only after sunset. These conditions must be respected, or the gift will turn to a curse." Nnenna looked skeptical. "Why these rules, Papa?" The old man's expression turned serious. "The plant is no ordinary seed. It will test your discipline and faith. Trust me, you will understand in time." Chike hesitated, but Nnenna nudged him gently. "Chike, let's accept it. He insists." Finally, Chike nodded. "All right, Papa, we'll plant it and follow your instructions." The old man smiled, his face softening. "Good. The gods have chosen you for this blessing. Use it wisely." The next morning, when Chike and Nnenna woke, the old man was gone. Chike and Nnenna planted the seed in their garden. They woke before dawn each day and watering the plant after sunset. Within days, the plant grew taller than a man, its golden leaves shimmering in the sunlight. One morning, a large golden pod appeared, hanging from its branches. When Chike carefully plucked it and opened it, he and Nnenna gasped. Inside was a pile of glittering gold dust. "This is a miracle," Nnenna whispered. "This is Kelechi's blessing," Chike said, his voice trembling. "He must be watching over us." The couple sold the gold dust discreetly, repairing their home, buying tools, and planting new crops. Despite their newfound wealth, they remained humble, using their blessings to help neighbors in need. But it wasn't long before Chief Okafor noticed the changes in their lives. "How is this possible?" Okafor fumed to his wife, Adaobi. "That fool suddenly has money to spare?" "Perhaps the gods have blessed him," Adaobi replied. "The gods?" Okafor scoffed. "He's hiding something, and I will uncover it." Okafor sent his servants to spy on Chike. One of them reported seeing the golden plant in his garden. "So that's their secret," Okafor said, his eyes gleaming with greed. "That plant should be mine." Under the cover of darkness, Okafor crept into Chike's garden and tore off a branch from the plant. He returned home and planted it in his own yard. "This will make me richer than ever," he said, grinning. But Okafor didn't know the old man's instructions. He planted the seed at his backyard and he watered the plant whenever it suited him, demanding it bear fruit quickly. Within days, the plant grew rapidly, bearing a golden pod even larger than the ones he had seen in Chike's garden. Okafor's eyes gleamed with greed as he plucked it. "This must be the treasure," he exclaimed, eagerly tearing the pod open. But instead of gold dust, a swarm of bees burst out, stinging him mercilessly. "Ah!" Okafor screamed, swatting at the bees. His servants rushed to help, but the stings left his face and hands swollen and throbbing with pain. Despite the attack, Okafor's greed only deepened. "Good things don't come easily," he muttered to himself that night, nursing his wounds. "Perhaps the gods want me to work harder for this treasure. Fine, I will open another pod." The next morning, Okafor approached the plant again. A new pod had grown overnight, even larger than the first. Determined, he plucked it and pried it open with trembling hands. This time, a dark cloud of locusts erupted from the pod, swarming over his compound. They devoured everything in sight, his crops, his livestock feed, even the thatch on the roofs. "Stop them!" Okafor roared at his servants, but the locusts were relentless. Within minutes, his compound lay in ruin, his fields stripped bare. Still, Okafor refused to accept defeat. "The greatest rewards require the greatest sacrifices," he muttered, his voice filled with stubborn determination. "I'll try again. The third time will be the charm." That evening, Okafor stood before the plant, his pride and greed blinding him to the warnings of his wife and servants, who begged him to stop. "Chief, please," one of them pleaded. "This plant is cursed. Leave it alone before it destroys us all." "Silence!" Okafor barked. "Do you think wealth comes without risk? I will not stop now." With trembling hands he plucked the third pod and tore it open. This time a slithering mass of snakes spilled out, hissing and writhing. The snakes lashed out, biting Okafor and the remaining servants as they fled in terror. "Help me!" Okafor screamed, but there was no one left to answer his cries. Poison coursed through his veins as he staggered out of the compound, stumbling into the forest. The snakes slithered after him, and his screams echoed into the night. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing tales and stories. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.